Mansi, Arya, and Vinith, please confirm whether on the face of it I have started or not in the class so that I can begin. On the face of it, commerce, I think I have already started. What about science students? On the face of it, I think I have started, right, in both the classes. Okay. Good morning, Tanvi, Uday, Arya, okay, okay. Commerce. Even in science, I think I have started. Tanvi, I think on the face of it, I have started in the class, right? Okay, Tanvi, please confirm once whether on the face of it started in your class as well, in science class, on the face of it. Okay, so okay, so let me start from the beginning. Dear students, you see, this is a play featuring an old man and a small boy meeting in the farmer's garden. The old man strikes up a friendship with the boy, who is very withdrawn and defined. What is the bond that unites the two? So, Mr. Lamb's garden, you can see the scene is Mr. Lamb's garden. There is the occasional sound of bird song and of tree leaves rustling. Daddy's footsteps are heard as he walks slowly and tentative through the long grass. He pauses, then walks on again. He comes round a screen of bushes, so that when Mr. Lamb speaks to him, he is close at hand and Daddy is startled. Okay, so Mr. Lamb is an old man and Daddy is a very young boy of hardly 14 years old. Okay, so Daddy and Mr. Lamb both are handicapped by nature. Daddy's face has been burned by acid. One of his cheeks has been burned by acid, and Mr. Lamb has a tin leg. Okay, so there is a conversation at the start. Daddy has come in the garden of Mr. Lamb, and Mr. Lamb is alone in his garden, in his house. There's no one else who lives with Mr. Lamb. So let's see how the conversation strikes up and what is the conversation all about. So Mr. Lamb says, mind the apples. Okay, have you come here for the apples? Mind the apples. Okay, what is that? Who is there? Miss Lamb's my name. Lamb says, Lamb's my name. Mind the apples, crab apples, those are. Wind falls in the long grass, you could trip. Okay, so you have to mind the apples, as well as it's very slippery, so you might trip, so you take care. Then Daddy, I thought this was an empty place. I didn't know there was anybody here. Mr. Lamb says, that's all right, I'm here. What are you afraid of, boy? That's all right. Mr. Lamb says, that's all right, I'm here, don't get scared, I'm there. Daddy says, I thought it was empty, an empty house. Mr. Lamb says, so it is. It is of course an empty house. Since I am out here in the garden, it is empty. Until I go back inside. Okay, my house is empty until I go back inside. I am now in the garden. Therefore, of course you are correct, my house is empty. In the meantime, I am out here and likely to stop. A day like this, beautiful day, not a day to be indoors. Daddy panicky. Daddy appears to be a bit anxious. He says, I've got to go. Daddy says, I've got to go. Mr. Lamb, not on my account. I don't mind who comes into the garden. The gate's always open. Only you climb the garden wall. Okay? Only you climb the garden wall. So Mr. Lamb says, not on my account. I don't mind who comes into the garden. The gate is always open. Only you climb the garden wall. Okay? Daddy says, you were watching me. Mr. Lamb, I saw you, but the gate is open. All welcome. You are welcome. I sit here. I like sitting. Okay. So you are welcome, and if you want to leave, the gate is open. I like sitting here. That is why I am sitting. Daddy, I have not come to steal anything. He said, I had not come to steal anything from your garden. No, no, the young lad still scrambled the apples. You are not so young. Okay, only the young lad still, you are not so young. I know you have not come to steal. I just wanted to come into the garden. So you did. Here you are. Here we are then. You don't know who I am. Daddy says, you don't know who I am. Mr. Lamb says, a boy 13 or so. I think you are a boy of 13 years or so. Daddy says, no, I am 14. But I have got to go now. Goodbye. Daddy is asking for permission to go. Mr. Lamb says, nothing to be afraid of. Just a garden, just me. Okay, don't get scared. It's just a garden and it's just me, nobody else. So don't feel scared. Feel free. Daddy says, but I am not. I am not afraid. People are afraid of me. Mr. Lamb says, why should that be? Why should the people be afraid of you? Daddy says, everyone is. It doesn't matter who they are or what they say or how they look, how they pretend I know, I can see. Daddy says, it doesn't matter who they are or what they say or how they look, how they pretend, I know, I can see. See what they think. So Daddy means to say that he can read the mind of others. Okay, so he can read the mind of others. Mr. Lamb says, what do they think then? Daddy says, you think here is a boy. You look at me and then you see my face and you think that's bad. That's a terrible thing. That's the ugliest thing I ever saw. You think, poor boy, but I am not. Not poor. Underneath you are afraid. Anybody would be. I am. When I look in the mirror and see it, I am afraid of me. Okay. So Daddy is trying to sound very much disappointed here. Daddy appears to be very, very disappointed here. So Daddy says that I'm not scared of anybody. People are scared of me. Okay, Daddy says people are scared of me, and that's a terrible thing. That's the ugliest thing I ever saw. Then now Mr. Lamb will feel suspicious about his statement, asking him, why does the boy have such a low self-esteem? So let's see. Mr. Lamb says, not the whole of you, not of you. Yes. Mr. Lamb says, later on, when it's a bit cooler, I will get the ladder and the stick and pull down those crab apples. They are ripe for it. I make jelly. It's a good time of year, September. Look at them, orange and golden. That's magic fruit, I often say. But it's best picked and made into jelly. You could give me a hand. Daddy says, when have you changed the subject for? People always do that. Why don't you ask me? Why do you do what they all do and pretend it's not true and isn't there? In case I see you looking and mind and get upset, I'll tell you, don't ask me because you are afraid too. Now Daddy does not want Lamb to change the topic. He says, why don't you continue with the topic that I am discussing about? Why do you digress from the topic? Mr. Lamb says, you want me to ask? Say so then. I don't like being with people, any people. So Daddy appears to be very much disappointed with himself. He says, I don't like being with people, any people. Mr. Lamb, I should say, to look at it, I should say you got burned in a fire. Daddy says, not in a fire. I got acid all down that side of my face and it burnt it all away. It ate my face up. It ate me up. And now it's like this and it won't ever be any different. Okay. It won't ever be any different. Daddy says it won't ever be any different. Mr. Lamb, no. Aren't you interested? Mr. Lamb says, you are a boy who came into the garden. Plenty do. I am interested in anybody, anything. There's nothing God made that doesn't interest me. Look over there, over beside the far wall. What can you see? Now, Mr. Lamb is trying to please Dairy. Mr. Lamb is trying to divert the attention of Dairy and saying that you are a boy who came into the garden. Plenty of other boys do. I am interested in anybody, anything. There's nothing God made that doesn't interest me. Look over there, over beside the far wall. What can you see? Daddy says, rubbish. I can see rubbish over there. Mr. Lamb, rubbish? Look, boy, look. What do you see? Just grass and stuff, weeds. Mr. Lamb says, some call them weeds if you like, then a weed garden that. There's fruit and there are flowers and trees and herbs, all sorts, but over there, weeds. I grow weeds there. Why is one green growing plant called a weed and another flower? What is the difference? It's all life, growing, same as you and me. So, in this dialogue, Mr. Lamb is trying to explain dairy, an analogy, okay, between flowers and weed. Okay, he means to say that people, like in the same garden, in one side you'll find green growing plant called weed, and another side you'll find flower. What is the difference? They should all live together in the ecosystem. Okay, they all comprise of the healthy ecosystem. So why is the difference, and where is the difference? Daddy says we are not the same. Okay, the difference is we are not the same. I'm old, you are young. You've got a burned face, I've got a thin leg. Not important. You are standing there, I'm sitting here. Where's the difference? Daddy, why have you got a thin leg? Real one got blown off years back. Lemmy lamb, some kids say. Haven't you heard them? You will, lemmy lamb. It fits, doesn't trouble me. So Mr. Lamb replies to the question of Daddy regarding why have you got a thin leg. So he said, years back, one of his legs got blown off. Right? And that is, since then, the kids call him Lemmy Lamb. Daddy says, but you can put on trousers and cover it up and no one can see. They don't have to notice and stare. Mr. Lamb says, some do, some don't. They get tired of it in the end. There's plenty of other things to stare at, like my face. Daddy says, but my face they stare at. Mr. Lamb says, like crab apples or the weeds or a spider climbing up a silken ladder or my tall sunflowers. Things. It's all relative, beauty and the beast. Mr. Lamb says, it's all relative, beauty and the beast. They are all relative in nature and both have the right to coexist in nature, okay, amicably, right? Every small little creature, every beautiful and every ugly creature has the equal right to coexist in nature. What's that supposed to mean? Daddy, being a small boy of 14 years, is not able to understand the analogy that Mr. Lamb is here explaining. Mr. Lamb says, you tell me. Daddy, you needn't think they haven't all told me that fairy story before. Okay, actually Daddy is not Delhi doesn't have any conviction or faith in the fairy tales. Okay, why? Because he knows that in practical life people judge you for what you are, what you look like, what your external appearance is, and they do not see the inside of it, right? So that is why he says, these are all fairy tales, don't tell me those fairy tales. It's not what you look like, it's what you are inside. So now Delhi is quoting the concept that people often tell, like it's not what you look like, it's what you are inside. Handsome is as handsome does. Okay, beauty loved the monstrous beast for himself, and when she kissed him, he changed into a handsome prince. Only he wouldn't. He would have stayed a monstrous beast. I won't change. So why does Delhi appear to be very much pessimist? Delhi appears to be a very much pessimist because Delhi has got one of his cheeks burned by acid. That is why people neglect him, look down upon him, look down, and they see him with contempt. That is why Delhi appears to be very much disappointed with life. So all those things like it's not what you look like, it's what you are inside, or handsome is as handsome does. These things appear to be nothing short of a fairy tale for Delhi. Okay, he says that I won't change. Okay, I won't change, I will remain the same. Mr. Lamb asks, in what way? No, you won't. And no one will kiss me, only my mother, and she kisses me on the other side of my face, and I don't like my mother to kiss me. She does it because she has to. Why should I like that? I don't care if nobody ever kisses me. But do you care if you never kiss them? What? Girls, pretty girls, long hair, dark eyes, people you love. Daddy, who would let me? Not one, because he thinks that he has got a burned face. Who can tell? I won't ever look different. When I am as old as you, I will look the same. I will still only have half a face. Daddy is very low in self-confidence because of his ugly appearance, because of his burned face. So he says, even when I grow as old as you, I shall look about the same. Okay, I shall only have a half face. The other half will remain always burned. Mr. Lamb, so ye will, but the world won't. The world's got a whole face, and the world's there to be looked at. Do you think this is the world, this old garden? When I'm here, not the only one, but the world as much as anywhere. Does your leg hurt you? Tin doesn't hurt, boy. When it came off, did it? Certainly. Okay, so so let me complete this page and then I shall wind up. So you see here, and now I mean where the tin stops at the top. Now and then in wet weather, it doesn't signify. Oh, that's something else they all say. Look at all those people who are in pain and brave and never cry and never complain and don't feel sorry for themselves. Okay, Mr. Lamb says, I haven't said it. Actually, Derry doesn't want Mr. Lamb to come up with any motivational thought for him or any kind of justification, because he knows that he is going to remain the same boy. His condition is not going to improve. That is why Daddy is time and again satirically addressing Mr. Lamb, saying that look at all those people who are in pain and brave and never cry and never complain and don't feel sorry for themselves. Mr. Lamb says, I haven't said it, Danny, and think of all those people worse off than you. Think you might have been blinded or born deaf or have to live in a wheelchair or be daft in your head and dribble. Okay, so this is what Derry is satirically pointing at Mr. Lamb. I know that you are going to philosophize to me all these things, okay, but I have no faith in such ideal talks, because Derry appears to be as miserable as he will appear to be as miserable as he has been, so there will be no change in his condition. Okay, that is why he thinks so, and that is why he thinks so much pessimist. That is why whatever advice or motivation or inspirational talks Mr. Lamb will put forward, Terry will consider it as a satire. Okay, so he is satirically pointing at Mr. Lamb himself, coming up with some kind of philosophical talks, so thinking, saying that you shall now tell me all this, but my situation is different. I shall remain ever the same, and there will not be any difference in my thought or in my line of thought insofar as my condition is concerned. Okay, so dear students, let's wind up here. We'll continue tomorrow. Okay, we shall continue tomorrow.